As the great philosopher DJ Khaled once said, another one.
Happy Monday, and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always by Professor Oates. Of course, we got the deli man behind the Mac making all of the magic happen. Do us a solid. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Jake already leading things off in the chat with a forks up. I absolutely love to see it. We got a ton to discuss today. We're dipping our hand in just about every single Sun Devil sport that we've got on campus. A little ASU football, some ASU softball, some Big 12 conference tournament stuff, Big 12 baseball, ASU baseball. We've got a ton, and also maybe a little shot from Bobby Wade at ASU. They're stealing the branding. It's unacceptable, Rubus.
They're going to use Pipeline to Paradise next.
Really? You
Yeah.
think that, is that more of like
fit
a,
as much.
Is that a Brent Brennan tweet, or is that like who's tweeting that from U of A?
Yeah, it's a Brent.
Yeah, it's a Brent Brennan
Yeah.
tweet. Tommy Lloyd's not going to take it, you don't think?
No. Tommy Lloyd's fine.
He's fine. We're not going to talk about Tommy Lloyd.
We're not going to talk about
That's
Tommy
fine.
Lloyd.
Look,
No, word on the street, though. I mean, big day, lot to talk about. But word on the street is
Word on the street.
that you're feeling extra silly on this Monday.
yeah. I mean, we talked about it at the start of the show. I'm not a big fan of the word silly, but that's just.
But you're feeling silly today.
I'm not. I'm
Wait,
not really.
what?
You know, I don't really like the word silly. It's just, I feel like I've grown past the usage of silly.
What did you just say earlier? What did you just say earlier, Totri?
Look,
what did you
silly?
just? No. I'm asking you a question. You're
Yeah, no, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
No, but I want you to answer the question
So
first.
the word that I said was yippee.
And you said what about it?
It's an underappreciated phrase.
So you think the word yippee needs to be used more, and you want to be using it more in
Correct.
your day-to-day life?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
But you've outgrown the word silly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why you're putting the camera on me, man. I can't
You call
explain
me
this
silly,
guy.
man.
I can't
Are
explain this guy.
you silly over yippee?
I think yeah, if I'm power ranking the words,
Yeah.
I think silly is coming in at 1 and
Yippee,
yippee
2.
is at 2.
Shane?
I don't have an answer for that.
You don't have an answer?
I feel like you're the one that should have an answer
Well,
for this.
but
Yeah, if anybody.
you can't have a power ranking with two things.
We just did.
As Jacob says, that seems silly.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Jacob. I appreciate that. There's also a bunch of Jacobs in the chat.
There's just a bunch of
Fighting over the name
they
Jacob.
started in a line. So only Jakes and Jacobs in the chat today.
Oh, my goodness.
Sorry, Ben.
Look, again, make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe button.
Should
if
I
you
ban
haven't
everyone else that comes in here?
already.
Glenn
Ben-
says, "What did I just walk in on?" LOL.
Silliness, if you will.
Yippee!
Let's go ahead. Let's get into the latest addition to Arizona State's recruiting class for 2026. Erik, the Texas to Tempe pipeline, very much alive with ASU landing corner DaQuwan Dunn. From what I've seen, 24/7 Sports doesn't have Dunn rated. I
Yeah.
believe Rivals has Dunn as a 3-star corner out of Texas, but this is the second defensive back, or more specifically, the second corner that Arizona State has added in this class of 2026, recruited by Brian Carrington. We know Coach Carrington just in terms of the guys that he's been able to add to this defense over the last handful of years. You look at Keith Abney, Montana Warren in the recruiting classes, Rodney Bimmich Jr., Chris Johnson, Tony Lewis and Cuba, and then some of the transfers that they've been able to get, right? A guy like Javen Robinson, who's been starting, obviously, on the perimeter for the Sun Devils last year and will likely start this year as well. What do you make of the addition of DaQuwan Dunn to this recruiting class?
A little more of an unknown.
Yeah.
I watched the Huddle film. I liked what I saw. Pretty versatile. Good nose for the ball. Sniffed out some stuff behind the line of scrimmage. Is able to stay with his man in coverage. Moves his hips well. you don't know a ton about him. He's not going to be one of the names that I think when you look at this recruiting class, you're going to say, oh, it's the highlight of the century, you know, DaQuwan Dunn. But he's not a nobody. I mean, these are the schools that he got offers from. Obviously, ASU, who he committed to. Bowling Green, Cal, Duke, Houston, Iowa, Memphis, Missouri, North Carolina State, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, Pittsburgh, San Diego State, Texas Tech, Tulsa, Utah, UTEP, UTSA, and Wake Forest. So lots of Big 12 schools.
Yeah, CBS receipt of offers for the kid.
Texas Tech, Utah, Oklahoma State, Houston, all Big 12 schools that have offered. You have an SEC program in Missouri that's offered as well. So there's interest.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
What did you notice from what you saw on his film that stood out to you? Because usually when you have somebody who's not, you know, ranked on 24/7, it's more of an underground prospect, which means that Brian Carrington and company saw something in DaQuwan Dunn that maybe others haven't.
Yeah, I really loved his ability just in man coverage. Like, this kid is on receivers like white on rice throughout that entire huddle highlight tape. He's really active with his hands at the line of scrimmage. So I think it's more so, okay, this kid can dominate at the high school level in man coverage. Again, he makes it difficult for wide receivers to get off the LOS, but can he really adjust to the speed at the college level? I'm not saying he can't, but if
he's big,
if he does, right, then this is a gem, 100%, right? Like, I get why he's not necessarily rated the craziest athlete or recruit in the world, but overall, he's a little bit of a bigger corner at 6 foot. If he's able to really grow into his body when he gets to ASU, this is more of a project, I feel like, for Brian Carrington and Coach Joe in the weight room. That's not necessarily a bad thing by any means. Like, you look at a guy like Keith Abney or Montana Warren. When they first got to Arizona State, they didn't play right away either. Now, Montana would have probably played a little bit more if he didn't get hurt when he got to Camp T and spring ball. But ultimately, those two players took a little bit of time to understand the playbook, to understand the speed of the game. And then you look at Keith Abney year 2, you're starting on the edge. You look at Montana Warren heading into year 3, you're likely starting at nickel, right? So when we're talking about DaQuwan Dunn, you see certain traits, right? His ability in man coverage, which I think is pretty elite for this age group. At 6 foot, again, he's got great length for a corner in high school. If he's able to kind of do what I talked about in terms of just getting the speed of the game under control, and if he's able to bring what he did at the high school level to college, then I think he is certainly going to be a guy that can play at Arizona State. And how many times do we talk about what Kenny says to some of these kids or the transfers that, hey, like, we don't promise playing time. We don't promise starting jobs. So, yeah, if you want to come in here as a true freshman in 2026 and you want to try and ball out, I mean, by all means, right? Yeah. You look at what the corner position is going to look like at ASU at that point in time, right? You would probably expect Keith to be gone unless he's coming back for another year. Same situation with Javen. Like, there are opportunities for him. Like, there is going to be a hole at corner, not necessarily in, like, you don't have the bodies, but you won't have the proven starters.
Sure. There's a couple of ways that I want to take this conversation and kind of to round up on him specifically, because obviously we can't give like crazy takes about his
we'll have
game.
a tail of the tape a little bit later on.
Yeah, of course he'll dive deeper into that. He doesn't, when you say like the speed, he doesn't look slow out there. He doesn't look mismatched. I would say some of the times it feels like he's catching up a little bit if a receiver gets past him, but he then, at least in the highlights, of course, catches up and makes a play. He's not afraid to use his length by diving and using his arms and kind of putting his body on the line to break up a pass or to read it. And that's not just an athleticism thing. That's an instincts thing of where to go, when to go, because if you mistime that, you misread that, they're gone.
Yeah.
Like, that's a touchdown.
Especially at this level.
Yeah. Like that's a touchdown if you misjudge jumping out and trying to break up something with a PBU. So with him specifically, you see the tools and you see the building blocks, right? And you mentioned the fact that he's probably more of a project for Arizona State. With all of the success that this program has had, I think it's fair that the conversation lends to look at all of these higher stars that they're able to get. Look at in the transfer portal trying to get some proven players or players that have 5-star pedigree that weren't able to prove themselves, where you're just overall upping this talent level. I think something that we're kind of forgetting as well is that this coaching staff has done really well at finding hidden gems.
Yeah.
And so in these recruiting classes and transfer portal classes that are highlighted by some really, really top tier prospects and players, a guy like DaQuwan Dunn shouldn't be ignored, because what this program does, especially for young guys to come in and then to build them up and to say, you might not play year 1, year 2, year 3, or maybe year 4, you're going to be an integral part of this team because we've helped to build you up as a project. We've come here for you to develop, and now you can develop behind a winning program instead of have to develop on the fly with a program that's in distress.
That's what all major winning programs do in college football, right? Like you very rarely, unless we're talking about just a supreme athlete at this level, like look at Ohio State, look at Alabama, look at Georgia, right? How often do the guys that you see, especially on the front, on the defensive line, the linebackers defensively, like you see juniors and seniors. You very rarely see freshmen and sophomores out there. And again, if you do, you are watching like the cream of the crop.
You're
top
watching
10
a top
picks.
10 pick. Yeah,
exactly. Right. So it is going to be, I think, pretty instrumental for Arizona State to really implement that way of building a roster over time. Yes, occasionally you're going to get some transfers that immediately you plug and play. That's just the nature of it. But ultimately, what Kenny and this roster is going to look like for years on end is we're going to really build in our recruiting classes. We're going to add pieces here or there through the transfer portal, and it's going to be a perfect marriage, kind of like you saw last year, right? How many young guys did you have out there that Arizona State could rely on, right? Kyson Brown, he was your backup running back, a relatively young guy. You had Keith Abney, who we mentioned a little bit earlier.
You have Javen.
You had young linebackers that you got from the portal, and Keyshawn Elliott and Cyrus,
who's been with you since he was a 100%. Freshman.
And then you added, right, some of the older players. You added a guy like a Justin Watley. You still returned a guy like Clayton Smith and Prince Dorba, who are a little bit older. So it's really going to be, I think, that beautiful marriage between the transfers and the recruits for as long as Kenny is going to be on, the staff, which hopefully is a very long time. So that's what winning programs do, right? Like consistent winning programs.
And
that's
consistent
how they do
winning programs, sure. If you're a Bama, a Georgia, even an Oregon now at this point, a lot of the times it feels like they're just going for who's the most talented. But they're also going for who fits us, who fits our program, because
100%.
You can start being, I guess, picky is more of a phrase that I'm looking for. Like you can be more selective when it comes to who are you letting into your program. Now, Arizona State, despite the success of last year, will not be picking from the same crop of players as the perennial top 10 team for the past decade or so.
No, you gotta win more than once for that.
Right. But they're picking from a better cream of the crop than they were a couple years ago. But no matter what, one thing is held true with Kenny every single year in every single class, whether they were winning before or whether they weren't, they're his guys.
Yeah.
They're ones that fit in with his mold, with his identity, with his team, right? So the same thing, DaQuwan Dunn and Jake Fetty, right? We're talking not even a star.
You're talking literally the
24/7,
lowest rated and the highest rated.
And the highest rated. They all have something in common from top to bottom. And that's a Kenny guy.
Yeah, they're competitors.
And they're competitors. And that's why you see maybe some talented high school recruits that aren't fully bought in, that are no longer here, right? Or highly talented players that transferred out that are no longer here. Nothing against them.
No.
They're not bad people. They're not bad players. But they're not meant to be in this system.
No, Kenny retweeted a video from I think Kelvin Sampson, the Houston coach, over the weekend, where Kelvin was talking about when you're adding players and you're recruiting players, like if you don't want problem children on your roster, then don't recruit problem children, right? Yeah. It's a team. You want players that are bought in. Kenny retweeted that. And you look at the kind of the whole idea of at Arizona State, you're going to compete at a really high level. You're going to have a lot of fun. You immediately look at DaQuwan Dunn, and there's going to be people that are like, oh, this kid, he's not a 4-star. He's not a 5-star. Well, you know what this kid is? He's a 3-sport athlete, right?
Mhm.
Plays football, plays basketball, runs track and field. What does that say? It says this kid year-round wants to compete, right? With other
Should we get Bobby on the line?
elite other athletes in Texas,
Yeah.
right? He's not just like playing football in Nevada and that's all he does. This kid year-round is working to be a better athlete. He clearly likes to win, right? Otherwise, why are you playing all these sports?
Yeah. Well, and this is a completely different conversation that I could probably spend an entire hour on, but
An entire hour? I'm curious.
I am all in on younger athletes playing multiple sports instead of hyper focusing on one. And as somebody who covers basketball and whatnot, it is so crazy to see where AAU has gone. And
It's like a whole league at this point.
well,
the way
right.
They
and
run
then
it.
it's a year-round thing, and then you just focus too much on one sport. There are different skills and muscles that you develop playing different sports and dynamics and stuff that you could take from one and go to the other. And so when you have somebody who excels in 3 sports and is able to, not just be, I guess, a one-trick pony is discrediting those who are just really good at one sport, but not just be super focused on one and still be good enough to get an offer from Arizona State. That's a big positive. The final place that we need to take this conversation.
The final place. I'm interested.
Well, it's the Texas part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Texas to Tempe. And Clint put it in the chat. It is more than just a saying. It's a damn lifestyle.
It is.
For this coaching staff and this program at this point. It's crazy how much talent they're getting out of Texas on a regular basis.
I mean, 13 hard commits right now for the class of 2026, which we've already kind of talked about. You should expect probably between 19 and 23 hard commits when this class is completely wrapped up, but you get early signing period not till December. So with those 13 hard commits, 7, more than 50% of the players that have already committed to Arizona State for the class of 2026 are from Texas. You got 3 from California, 1 from Arizona, and 2 from Georgia. And you had players from all over the country over this past weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
At Arizona State visiting. It was a big recruiting weekend.
But over double from any other state.
100%. Like
you have more from Texas than you do from any other state combined.
Yeah, I think, and I believe I saw this from Chris Cartman, Arizona State has more Texas commits than like Kansas State, Houston, Oklahoma State, like other schools combined, right?
Jeez.
In the class of 2026. And again, it's still early in this period, but Kenny Dillingham, when he first got here, made it a point of emphasis, right? We are going to recruit in our backyard, which Arizona State is still trying to do. There was at least one player that I know of from the Valley that was on an official visit this past weekend at Arizona State. So that's still in play. We've had the whole conversation about Fitzgerald, right? This is his son come to ASU. And the other thing they wanted to do is they wanted to recruit in Texas. Why? Well, guess what? The best players, as long as football has been played, have played high school football in Texas.
Right.
They're bigger, they're faster, and they just seem to be better than everybody else, right? Because that's what they do. It's high school football. It is a holiday. It's a cult. It's whatever you want to call it. And you've started to already see the rewards from Arizona State having a little bit of a footprint in Texas. Just continue to give it more time, right? We're going into year 3, and we're already talking about 7 Texas commits in May.
Yeah, and the more that they're able to succeed, like a CJ fight, it's a big community, it's a big sport down there, but it's tight-knit.
Yeah.
And it's a small world when it comes to Texas football. And not only are you getting high school athletes from the state of Texas, you've grabbed college athletes that played at UT and that played in the state of Texas, and you brought them over here, whether it's an Xavier Alford, right? Or even if you're going down to Texas State and a Big Bow that you got on the offensive line.
Yeah.
So you are planting roots at a high school level and at a collegiate level in the number 1 hotbed for football talent. And you're still not ignoring everywhere else. 2 from Georgia this cycle. We look at the last recruiting class, the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, Jason
was hit
Brown
pretty
from
hard.
Washington,
Jaden
Fortier from Oregon.
right? It's Sam Levitt, obviously, went to Michigan State, but is from the Pacific Northwest as well. So you're spreading your wings and you're taking the best talent from everywhere, but you're creating this baseline of pulling from one place, which is a college football player factory in Texas.
And they love, again, just based off of what we've seen, right, in the pattern from Brian Carrington in recruiting, Texas, they love DBs from Texas specifically, right? We talked a lot about DaQuwan Dunn, obviously corner, the latest commit for class 2026, but you look at class of 2024, Chris Johnson II, right? Corner, Texas. Rodney Bimage, corner, Texas. Tony Lewis and Cuba, corner, Texas, right? They have started to build a little bit of a pattern of like, hey, we want lengthy corners that can play man coverage, and we know exactly where to get them, right? The state of Texas. And as of right now, those kids want to come play here, right?
Why wouldn't you?
You see it.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
100%.
I think also people underrate what's like, oh, why don't they stay home and why don't they go to UT or whatever it might be. One, UT is in the group of schools that we were talking about earlier that is pulling from a different pot of players.
Yeah, you're getting you're getting the best of the best.
Texas Tech is interesting, right? But if you're looking at who's been more successful in the Big 12 recently, it's been Arizona State in their first year.
It's also Lubbock versus
I was
Tempe.
just about to say.
And that was the final thing is you're also moving out of Texas to Tempe. And there are great parts of Texas, but A, high school kids want to get away from home.
Yep.
And B, it's not too far away, but it's very different. It's very different in Tempe.
And you're going back, right? If you're at Arizona State now that you're in the Big 12,
you're playing Houston.
I can go a little bit. I can go away from home. I could be my own player, my own person, whatever.
Own man.
But that's exactly what I was saying at 18. I'm gonna go be my own man in the backyard of Tempe, Arizona, Cronkite. But at the end of the day, right, you're still going back. You're still getting the Baylors. You're getting the Texas Tech. You're getting the Houston. You still get to play those schools. Your family can still come see you play. But you don't have to be like tied right next to them at all times.
A couple comments in the chat. G.A. Ruiz says, Southern Cal is the best high school teams. We need to hit California. I'd say California has still been an emphasis. Yeah. Especially in the past couple of years.
The second most recruits, right, or commits, three that they've gotten. Class of 2024, they had 3 commits from Texas, I believe, or 3 commits from California. I believe 5 from Texas. And then you look at the class of 2025 in terms of like the states, they had 9 in California and 7 in Texas. So and 2 in Arizona. So those are the 3 that they really want to hit. Again, if they're targeting any other states, Dilly has been pretty big on we're going to go target the best player in that state, right?
If you're not going to get in-state talent, getting it from Texas and California is a good call.
That's a great place to supplement it.
Yeah, Amanda hits a point that I've been hitting, which says, why haven't we been able to pull top talent from AZ yet? That was supposed to be a focus for Dilly and company. We do have, I believe it's a top 10 player from Arizona in this class in Zeth.
Yes.
Thus. Whose name
you did it
kicks my ass.
I'm sorry. This might be insulting. It's a horrible name.
Zeth,
I mean, it's a
Zeth
tough.
Thus.
It's
Thus is still
it's
tough
like
enough,
his parents wanted people to have to say a tongue twister to try and get his name out.
Oh, I feel bad for the PA guy.
He is actually now the number 11 player in the state of Arizona.
Probably because of the name.
But again, Arizona State is certainly in play for a bunch of the other top talent in the class 2026 locally. And if you look, a lot of the local talent in the top 10 hasn't committed yet. There are one-offs here or there. Obviously, there are a lot of players at Brophy High School that Arizona State has been linked to. Devin Fitzgerald. I believe Dalen Sharper is another one. So there's a bunch of ties, and you look at Sharper, you look at Fitzgerald. They both have NFL backgrounds, right, with their families. So it wouldn't hurt to go get those guys, and they've got an former NFL wide receiver just on that staff.
We get a little NIL deal in there too.
Just waiting for it, man.
Amanda Falls Up says, to me, I think you want to keep kids in your own backyard. It just sends a good message to other possible in-state recruits. I personally don't care where we get recruits from as long as they can play.
Exactly. But that's kind of the issue, right? Is yes, Arizona high school football is trending in the right direction. Arizona high school football doesn't touch what Texas and California or Florida are doing right now.
What was his name? The wide receiver that ended up committing to Arizona after decommitting to ASU last year.
Oh, I know.
No, he wasn't a wide receiver.
No,
it was
Dylan Tapley.
Yeah, he's a wide receiver.
Yeah, he was a wide receiver.
There was somebody. Oh, there was somebody else.
Yeah, the wide receiver, 4-star. Yeah. He's in the transfer portal.
Yeah,
but that goes to your point. Like, it's a 4-star Arizona. I think he was the number 2 player in the country.
Potentially, he was a top
state.
Top 15 guy for sure.
Yeah, and that was like a make or break.
Yeah,
remember when that whole thing happened? It's like, oh, this is horrible. House is on fire. Didn't see the field this year. Like, and there's different situations. You never know what happened, but still.
And you have a big thing for Dilly, right? Is we always comment on him wishing players well on their way out.
Yeah.
Right. same thing. Like when they don't commit, right? Dylan didn't want to go here. Who was the wide receiver that went to Oregon? The #1 player in the state last year went with Sam.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying he's going to transfer, but like maintaining those, Cooper something.
Cooper Perry.
There you go. Having those relationships are huge long term, right? Because who's to say this kid doesn't enter the portal when he's a junior?
Yeah.
I want to come home.
As Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak would put it.
Wow, here we go.
They're going to leave the door open.
So you started the show with DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
And here we are with Andrew Peck to close
Anderson
Peck.
Come on.
My bad. I misheard
and,
you.
and Bruno Mars.
Silk Sonic.
And
I mean Silk Sonic. What do you know about Silk Sonic?
Let's take a break.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a quick break.
I'm gonna leave the door open. Sorry.
That's horrible.
You're too much. You're too much. Guys, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm sporting my branded Bills hat today.
It's a good hat.
I made this hat. This hat. Took a lot, right? We went to the Branded Bills facilities a couple months ago, and we got the opportunity to see all the time, energy, and effort that goes into them making and creating each and every one of these hats. I'll tell you, I could only make the one because it's a tough process.
Yeah, thank God you're not making all the Branded Bills hats.
I know. Look, it's centered, okay? It's good. Whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, of course, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. Plus, if you're looking for some gear to make your personal brand stand apart from the crowd, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear in the game. Start your order, and their dedicated team is going to help you create the exact custom apparel that you need. I made this hat. I've got a bunch of other Branded Bills hats. I know Erik has
about 1,500
a collection of Branded Bills hats. Whether you're an ASU fan, a U of A fan, or anywhere in between, head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHNX for 20% off your first order.
You know, in today's divisive world, it's hard to find something that everybody needs, everybody agrees on, and that's that everybody needs a checking account with Mountain America Credit Union. Mountain America Credit Union, My Style checking account, has perks just for you. You can enjoy restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, and offers on travel and events, plus so much more. You can make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by NCUA, membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration and activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. But once again, get restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, and so much more with My Style checking at Mountain America Credit Union.
Glenn in the chat saying, we doing so good, we forgot Cooper Perry's name. It shows you Dilly's doing just fine. Absolutely. And Jake saying, as in the Fitzgerald? Yes. As in Larry Fitzgerald's son playing wide receiver at Brophy. Top 10 local talent rated by 24/7 Sports. It'd be a big get. It'd be a massive get if they could go ahead and add Devin Fitzgerald to that recruiting class. I did want to get to one other comment that Amanda had a little bit earlier. Big Ten Jed also had something similar, saying, what's up, guys? Still need a couple of defensive interior offensive linemen, but this is a great recruiting class so far. If you notice over Arizona State, like their recruiting classes the last couple of seasons, you won't see a ton of interior defensive linemen. You'll see a couple edge rushers. Obviously, you have the one-off with CJ Fight that they were able to get in that initial recruiting class. But Dilly a couple of years back was asked kind of how he wants to build this roster, certain positions through the transfer portal, certain positions in recruiting. CJ Fight is a rare talent, right? He's a kid that continues to grow. He's massive. He's very strong, and he plays the interior of that front seven really, really well. However, the issue you run into when you're recruiting interior defensive linemen, which kind of to your point earlier, Erik, the real blue chip 5-star interior defensive linemen, they're going to Georgia. They're going to Ohio State. They're going to Bama, right? And they're going to be there, and they're probably not going to play their first couple of years. Why? Because, well, now in college football, you can be year 5, year 6. At that point, you're playing 23-year-old, pretty much grown men in the interior of your defense, which that's the type of player you're adding in the transfer portal. That's the type of position that Dilly is going to go get in the portal, is those interior defensive linemen. If you look at the last couple of transfer cycles, Arizona State any time that they have added players, it does feel like they have added from the interior of that defensive line, edge rushers as well. Less on the recruiting front of things when it comes to the D-line, again, because like the size discrepancy is pretty big when we're talking a 17 going on 18-year-old versus a 22, 23-year-old who's also played in a college defense.
And that's when you're trying to be a successful team, maybe you're able to get somebody who's just that good as a freshman or as a sophomore.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible.
Right? It's definitely possible, but you don't want to make that your foundation. You don't want to make that your bread and butter. You want to be a place where you go into the portal and you can get some college players who have already developed that are ready to play, because this team is expecting to compete for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Sure, there might be some lower moments and some higher moments, but I don't believe that this program is looking at a multi-year, let's restart things and build from the ground up. That's what's been happening.
Yeah.
Right? So if you could find some young players to supplement those pieces, that's great. But even some higher ranked kids out of high school at those positions end up not working out. Like, that's a tough position to get somebody from high school and then transition into having a lot of success in college. It might be easier to pick some that have already had success and then have just some younger talent to be as kind of like a backup and a development program behind the already established talent.
I feel like if there's one fan base that we probably don't have to repeat this, it's the Arizona State fan base. But like, you got to take stars with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, the 5-star, 4-star players are great most of the time. But you look at what Arizona State accomplished this past season with the pride and joy of this team was Cam Scadaboo. How many stars did he have coming out of high school?
6?
Not a single star.
Oh, that's right, 0.
Not a single one, right? So, and not every 0-star is a Cam Scadaboo, but like, you have to
imagine if they were.
You have to have faith in. Well, then the ranking system would be really flawed. You have to have faith in your coaching staff and the recruiting staff to be able to decipher, like, hey, this guy is a 3-star for a reason. This guy's a 5-star. Hey, this is a 0-star guy that we feel can do big things in this system, because those types of players exist too. Yeah. A guy that could be a low 3-star for Arizona State because he doesn't fit the system could be the perfect player to go play at Utah, right? Yeah. Like it that also figures into it, which people don't necessarily always take into account. I'm not saying that Chad does it.
Come on, Chad.
There's people on social media that love to do that, where it's like, oh, we got a 3-star, he doesn't matter because he's not a higher rated kid, which again, in reality, stars don't mean a ton to me.
It's the same thing as like getting drafted. Like, how many first-round draft picks in the NFL end up flaming out, and how many undrafted free agents end up having long, successful careers?
Yeah, 100%.
It matters
to an extent,
but it's not gospel.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're gospel.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Texas to Tempe is gospel.
It is.
We have some in-state rivals trying to steal it.
I mean, do we even call them rivals anymore, man?
We have some in-state people.
Folks. We have some in-state folks.
Some folks.
Yeah, some folks down south.
It's cute.
Yeah.
It's cute.
It's fine.
It's cute.
It's fine. It's silly, if you will. It's silly, if you will. Bobby Wade actually tweeted this out, formerly on the ASU coaching staff, tweeted Texas to Tucson with a little graphic that I'm sure the University of Arizona department made. I don't know if he deleted it.
When did he tweet this?
I saw it today. I saw it come up on my feed today. There was actually the only reason I saw it is because an ASU fan quote retweeted it, and it was on my feed through that. But this isn't the first time that I've seen this. I think Brent Brennan did something along the lines too, where he either posted or said it before, of like, hey, Texas to Tucson, which is like, if you want to recruit Texas, that's fine. Everybody's trying to recruit Texas. At least all the good programs are. So,
here, I found it. Yeah.
Props to the University of Arizona for like finally getting on board there. Hey, we're going to actually recruit
technically,
Texas.
this was tweeted in January.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Regardless.
I mean, their season was over.
It's just now coming on my feed. But like, can we at least be a little original? Like, come up with your own thing here. We don't need to copy exactly what Arizona State is doing. I know it works. I know it's fun, but like, come up with your own shtick here, right? I feel like I've seen that with a bunch of University of Arizona coaches, or just the way that they're approaching social media now. It's like they got a stern talking to from somebody in that athletic department, where it's like, hey, look what Kenny's doing in Tempe. Look what Arizona State's doing. They're fun. They're good at what they do. This is where they're recruiting. Go do that, or you're going to be gone after this season. And Brent Brennan and company are like, yep, we're on it. 100%.
Yeah, apparently that was Glenn's tweet that you
There you go, Glenn.
saw. It's funny because he's posted this on the road graphic a couple of times.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really ever put text with them. But
that was the one
with the Texas one, his tweet said Texas to Tucson.
Oh my gosh.
With the 2 as well.
JJ says Arizona doing that is extremely lame. What are the odds they bring out like kind of what ASU did with like they turned it into merch?
It's just funny because he was here.
Yeah.
That's kind of what makes it funnier. Is like you were here. Probably when the phrase was starting to be coined.
Yeah, literally.
I like Ben's idea. Brent Brennan's going to dress as Kenny for Halloween.
Please.
What would you wear?
As Dilly?
A hoodie.
Yeah,
You'd wear a hoodie.
Is it gold? What won this spring?
He didn't wear gold a lot. He wore gold, I think, one time.
Did black win this
black
spring?
one, yeah. Yeah. So
black hoodie, gray sweatpants.
What else? A whistle. Headset.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you were out there with me that first year where he had a microphone?
Yeah, that was
for
great.
like the first 2 weeks.
Maybe you gotta install like a gimpy jog.
Yeah, and you need like a 3-year-old.
Yeah,
like
is
that
he
you get
going to somebody. Can I borrow your 3-year-old? I'm dressing up as Kenny
you don't
Dillingham
need a real
for Halloween.
You don't need a real 3-year-old.
And you gotta hit the right.
Yeah.
Gotta say that a lot.
100%. You got to run everywhere that you are going,
but not very fast.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Almost. Yeah.
Go live.
We love Dilly. Absolutely love Dilly. Yeah. Go live anytime that you're in a Waymo.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Listen to Rod Wave.
I forgot about that. He's a big Rod Wave and Train fan, which is just a crazy
need a collab
combination.
Need a collab.
I think it was at the start of last year. I tweeted it out where it was either the first game of the season or there was a game in October where Rod Wave released an album on the day that Arizona State played, and I think it might have been the Utah game. To be honest with you, yeah, I think it was. You'd have to look it up so you could be exact there, but I think when that happened, Arizona State ended up winning that game. So Arizona State undefeated anytime Rod Wave drops music on game day. So just something to keep in mind.
Need you to drop about 12 to 14 times.
That'd be huge.
Rod.
So here's the next thing we need. About a year and a half ago, he sang Train.
He did.
On set. We need Rod Wave.
We need him to sing Rod Wave next time he's in.
Yeah.
Should play him that song that goes, I feel like Rod Wave, I got a lot on my plate.
Yeah. No, you shouldn't, actually. Which is still a crazy diss. This
is a wild bar.
Oh, my goodness. Guys, we appreciate everybody in the chat today, including you, JJB, who's always here just talking ASU basketball.
Oops.
He brought up Jake O'Neal, I think, earlier.
Jake O'Neal time?
Unbelievable
do we know if
stuff.
his has he been cleared?
I haven't heard anything on Jake O'Neal.
I turned my Google alerts
JJ,
on for Jake O'Neal.
You're not excited. And I know you're not.
Are you excited? I don't think we've gotten the chance to talk to you about ASU hoops.
Yeah, we have.
Have we?
Yes.
Shane's a broken guy.
Yeah, it's.
We're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. Oh my goodness, that's fair. Okay, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead, Deli Man.
Remember last time we talked about? I think it was after the last transfer they got, and I was
Jake O'Neal.
Yeah, and I was like, this class does nothing for me.
Yeah, I do remember him saying that.
Yeah, no news on
Jake
O'Neal yet. No.
JJB, I am so not. LOL.
I'm so not.
Oh my goodness.
Well, there are other ASU sports that are still going on or have been going on. We got some softball. We got
some that are going on, some that are not going on any longer.
Yeah.
And some Big 12 tournament changes as it relates to college baseball. Starting as early as next year. But we're going to talk about all the ball and bat sports on the other side of our final break.
Just like you need a ball and a bat if you're playing baseball, if you've got a home, you need a floor.
You need a floor.
You need one, because if you don't have a floor, then you're like a cartoon. You're just looking around and then you just fall.
Yeah, exactly.
Right there. You don't want that to happen to you. No. That's why Empire Today is here for you. Empire Today is not like those pesky, stupid big box stores.
Absolutely not.
They're going to leave you hanging. You walk around. You go, oh, I don't even know what type of flooring this is. Would it work in my home? Oh, when can you guys install this? And they say like 6 to 8 months
or
from
they
now.
can't.
Or they're just like, no, that's on you, Chief.
Yeah.
You have fun with that. Also,
Chief,
this is super expensive.
Wow.
Empire Today doesn't just want to give you $350 off. They want to hold your hand throughout the entire process.
And I can't promise this for sure, but I can almost guarantee they will never chief you.
They'll never chief you. They won't buddy you.
Well,
do not
99% of the time.
Only in an endearing way will you get chiefed by Empire Today.
Can you get endearingly chiefed?
I guess you can if it's Empire Today.
Yeah.
Listen, if Empire Today is giving you $350 off your new flooring, you're going to get chiefed. Okay? You get clear, upfront, all-inclusive pricing. You can schedule your free in-home estimate, and installation starts as soon as the next day. Schedule your free in-home estimate today because some things are just better off at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 off discount when using promo code PHNX. That's right, $350 off discount with code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHNX for full details.
I love the energy that we got on today's show. Always love the energy from our friends over at Circle K as well. Look, whether you need a snack, a drink, maybe you want to just save money, our friends over at Circle K are going to help you do all of those things. I know they help me do it just about every single day. So you're probably sitting at home, you're asking yourself, well, how can I save money? Well, the easy answer is you sign up to be an Inner Circle member. That's Circle K's free membership program. Just go to the App Store, download the app. All you got to do, enter your email and phone number, and boom. Next time you pull up to the pump, you're going to type in your phone number, and you are going to be a member of Inner Circle, and you're going to start saving money on gas and a bunch of other things that Circle K has to offer. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
So Jake has been endearingly chiefed before. He didn't care for it.
Would you rather be endearingly
like a pat on the head?
No.
Well, it feels.
No.
It would feel
a pat on the head is never.
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
It would
Chief.
feel patronizing.
You pat me on the head, we're having problems.
Yeah. It would feel patronizing
do
if
it
you
so
got
bad now.
endearingly chiefed.
Would you rather be endearingly chiefed
How
or
would you
endearingly buddied?
How would
Or
you
pal.
even? How would you even say that?
Oh, it's
thanks,
okay.
Chief.
It's okay, Chief.
No. That's how you talk to a dog.
Don't worry about it, Chief.
Then how does that work?
I don't know, but I guess you could power rank it, buddy, chief, or pal. Like, where are we going there?
Oh, we're power ranking words again. Love that. Would you on what you want to be called or like what?
Let's do worst to not as bad for those
to
three.
be called.
Yeah,
Chief, buddy, and pal.
chief, buddy, pal. Yeah.
Okay, again, it totally depends on the tone and the setting and the vibe.
Well, let's say it's all the same. It's all same circumstances.
What's the circumstance?
Let's just say it's a little.
Let's say Kenny Dillingham.
Oh God.
Kenny Dillingham watched the show. It wasn't maybe your greatest show that you've ever had. And
Sounds
he's like,
about
oh,
right.
it's,
You've
good-
done better.
Good show, bud.
You've done better.
Good show, pal.
Chief.
Yeah.
Chief's worst. It's
Chief's
the
the worst?
absolute worst.
I don't know if he
I
called
don't
me
know, dude.
pal.
Buddy. I think buddy.
No, I think
Buddy is like I'm sunning you.
No, but buddy is often like a crutch for like it's like bro. Like if you don't know somebody's name, you can call him buddy.
It's
I
tough.
feel like a chief is never a crutch. Like you have to intentionally chief.
Oh, there was this Chief the other day. Oh, what's Chief's name? What's Chief's name again?
Chief is 2 for me. Chief is definitely not the worst.
So pal is 1.
Yeah, pal just
Buddy.
pal feels like if you call me pal, I feel the opposite of your pal.
Yeah.
Like buddy, I'm like fine. Bud, I don't do bud. You can buddy me.
What's worse, pal or
Wait,
bud?
really? You'd
I'd rather be called.
buddied than bud?
Yeah, don't bud me.
Really?
Yeah, you couldn't even like muster up the
Hey,
whole
don't
word.
bud me, Chief.
You couldn't muster the whole word. You cut short of a 5-letter word to bud me.
Well, yeah, I guess that's also like, nah. I would rather be budded than buddied.
You'd rather be budded than buddy?
Yeah.
So give me your 3 here, man.
And where does Bud fit in?
I think not on the Suns apparently. I think Chief is the worst.
Chief is the worst for
Yeah.
you. Okay, what's 2?
Probably pal.
Pal
I'm fine with buddy.
and buddy here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pal. No, you know what? Pal's probably the worst.
I think pal is the worst.
Yeah, pal's bad.
Pal's bad.
I'm gonna go pal, chief,
buddy. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree
But
with that.
bud is like right below pal.
Bud. Yeah.
Yeah. Pal is always the worst. This ain't Mike saying pal is only used by boomers to insult. That's the worst of the worst for them, dude.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Oh my
Okay,
If a
god.
pal.
boomer calls you pal, it's like someone from the South saying bless your heart.
He said I'm not your buddy guy. Oh my goodness.
Espo in the chat says to my buddy Erik, my pal Shane, and my bud Totri.
Unbelievable. Absolutely. Can
Thanks
we
for all
ban
you
him?
do.
Can we
No,
ban
No,
him?
he's a moderator,
Well, you know
so
what?
we can't.
It gives me the option to, so I really want to see what would happen. But I
Did
feel
you
like
just ban him?
I feel like our YouTube would implode if that happened.
if we
ban
ban
ourselves.
the GM.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Do you want to talk softball or do you want to get into baseball?
Whatever you want to do, Chief.
Okay, pal. Let's go ahead. Let's quickly touch on a rough weekend for ASU softball. We had high hopes for this team in the LA Regional. Obviously, you had a tough road. You had UCLA, San Diego State, UC Santa Barbara. We felt pretty good that ASU could at least get out of one of those games. ASU got swept. They lost both the games, tough, tight games. They lost to San Diego State in game 1, 2-3. And they lost in game 2 to UC Santa Barbara, 3-4 in extra innings. And Kenzie Brown, she pitched her ass off, man.
You gotta
like, it's
you
tough.
gotta get more runs, man.
We were talking before that regional started, right? We were talking like, okay, do we go with Kenzie Brown that first game? Do you wait the second game if you lose? Do you keep her just for UCLA? Yeah. She pitched that first game against San Diego State, which again was a 2-3 ball game. She pitched 7 innings of that game, 110 pitches. Yeah. She gave up 3 runs, 6 hits, right? 13 Ks.
13
strikeouts.
Nuts.
And ASU, they fumbled it down the stretch. The top of the 7th, they gave up 2 runs. Then you get to the UC Santa Barbara game. You're like, okay, Kenzie pitched over 100 pitches. We know she's had a long season. Maybe they rest her. Nope, she's out there. She pitched 9.2 innings. 164 pitches in that game.
You have to.
And she gave up only 2 hits, bro.
You have to do better by her.
2 hits, absolutely.
You have to do better by her. You can't go into those games and score a combined 5 runs?
Yeah.
That's just not enough.
No, not for a team that has as much juice as ASU.
And that was a problem in the Big 12 tournament. Oklahoma State, you only beat 2-1 because of Kenzie Brown and her incredible pitching. And honestly, her getting out of some really sticky situations where Oklahoma State could have put up 4, 5, 6 more runs, right? Texas Tech, you got zeroed. Yeah. It was 18 to
6
0.
field goals. Yeah. It was
to
rough.
0. You can't score in your last 4 games a combined 7 runs.
Yeah.
You just can't.
It's
and
a brutal
expect
stretch.
to win. And it had been such a bounce back season for ASU softball.
But the bats were always kind of an issue.
Right. And you were just hoping that they could wake up every once in a while like they did against Iowa State when they run ruled them back in March.
18-4.
18-4, right? You could scored 7 twice against Utah. Like, you had a couple of moments where you even beat Texas Tech at the end of the regular season and you put up 7.
Yeah.
Right? So you've had a couple small outbursts. I mean, you beat Stetson. It was 14, so it's,
Stetson. I couldn't even tell you where that school is located.
Right. Like UTEP, you put up 11 on. Oregon State, you put up 9 on. Portland State, you put up 10. So your bats come alive against lower competition. Weber State, you 11-0'd them this entire season.
But you're in the tournament.
But you woke up in smaller sections against better teams like a Texas Tech when you beat them 7-3, right? But those 2 games before that, guess how many runs they scored combined against Texas Tech? 0.
Yeah.
0. So it's bad. Williams says less than 2 runs per game is terrible.
It is terrible. There's no other way you can put it.
You have to do better when you have such an incredible pitcher.
Yeah,
Plus, being bad like this in softball is the worst way to be bad.
You wasted one of the best pitching seasons at Arizona State in the last decade, based off of the fact that you just couldn't score runs, which is...
Is she out of eligibility?
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. Look, I pride myself on knowing a lot about ASU sports, but the eligibility of a softball pitcher is probably where I draw the line. That's
she
tough.
was injured her junior year, so she might. It doesn't say she redshirted though.
Maybe get a medical waiver. But also
that would be ideal.
There's a lot that really depends on what ASU does moving forward, because there were a lot of people, myself included, that felt like this was a year for Megan Bartlett at ASU, that like you had to do something, right? You had to make the postseason, you had to be good, because the last 2 years were not by the standard of what ASU softball historically is. So the question now is, like, was this enough? Because yes, you won a game in the Big 12 tournament, then you got bounced on your head by Texas Tech, and then you go into the regional and don't win a game against 2 teams that you were technically better than. So was making the postseason enough, or is there a change?
I think there's a change, but not at the top. Like William says, a hitting coach would be nice. I think you need to give her another year. Is her contract still running? I'm sorry, I'm asking you these very specific questions.
Yeah, you're asking me these. Yeah, I don't know what Megan Bartlett's
I don't know what her
contract
is. If her contract runs up, which I don't believe it would, because I think we would have.
I'll send a text and I'll get back to you on the next show.
What's Trisha Ford's contract look like?
It's fat. It's a fat contract.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
But you think back to those Trisha Ford days. I mean, we did post-game shows for that.
Does Graham Rossini lock up Trisha Ford if he's here?
I don't think it was an athletic director issue. I think it was a money issue. That's because
it was a money issue, but
it was because they were still paying Herm. They were paying Herm and they were giving Ray $1 million to sit on his ass. Like
5-year contract in 2021. So I think next year is the last year on her contract. I think.
Wow, 2021.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna vomit. That just made me sick.
Makes me so sick.
To be fair, we were doing those post game shows from the old studio.
Yeah.
The Rally
half
Blueberry.
a decade?
No, that's not cool. Well, it hasn't been half a decade yet.
No, but it will be at the end of next year.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
I'm just gonna let that one marinate. I was not
tough.
here.
That's
then.
tough. So you're pro keeping Bartlett.
Yeah,
we need a new hitting coach.
I think I saw enough, but if next season the same problems persist, then I think that it's run its course over the last half a decade.
Guess what?
What?
I'm with you. You want to talk baseball now?
Yeah.
The other ball and bat sport that's still playing? Well, you got the Big 12 baseball tournament taking place this week. Arizona State facing BYU. ASU coming in as the number 5 seed. BYU, I believe, is the number 12 seed.
12 seed.
Number 12 seed. On Wednesday, it's an early morning game. I want to say it's a 9 a.m. first pitch. It's something ridiculous like that. And the Big 12 baseball tournament, for those asking, is in Texas. That is important for later, so keep that in mind. But ASU baseball feels like on a very similar trajectory as Arizona State was going into this tournament, where it's like, okay, Willie needs to do something to make sure that he can keep his job going into next season. Because, again, you look at the ball and bat sports at ASU, like there is a lot of prestige and history that goes with these programs.
Absolutely.
And for Arizona State softball and Arizona State baseball, over the course of the last year or two, they've left a lot on the table. So ASU needs to beat BYU. They need to advance, in my estimation. You cannot lose in the first round to a team that you're ranked number 5 in. Like, you were a seed away from getting a bye in this first round. You can't lose to a 12 seed in BYU that you swept this year.
Yeah, especially when you definitely should be having a bye. And some mismanaged games by Willie Bloomquist and company has been basically the direct reason why you are not in a situation where you have a bye. And if you end up losing in the first round after that,
could hurt.
That's a bad look. Willie's contract as well expires June of 2026.
Gotcha.
So going into next season would be the last year, which means it's extension time for Willie. And I think that he needs a real good run at the end of this season to have people feel better about where he's at. Obviously, he cares a lot. He's been very vocal about the NIL situation with baseball and how they need to get better. But they fumbled the end of this regular season. And if they don't kind of right the ship after that, I would not be surprised if we had an entire summer of hot seat talk and what's going on with ASU baseball next, with or without Willie Bloomquist, if this season peters off like it has at the end of this last one.
Yeah, I mean, overall, a 35-21 season
is not bad at all
for Arizona State up to this point. It has been kind of like a streaky season, though. They got swept at the end of the year to Oklahoma State. They beat GCU. They took 2 out of 3 against Houston, 2 out of 3 against Baylor. They dominated Long Beach, dominated BYU. But definitely there have been stretches where this team just like runs into a brick wall and can't really do anything about it. So same conversation that we had about Bartlett. Obviously, this is pre-Big 12 tournament. You got to at least win this game against BYU. Then you would have a date in theory with Arizona, which would be a very, very big game. Obviously, the rivalry on the line, all that type of stuff. It's the postseason, Big 12 tournament, whatever. But if you lose against BYU, then we're starting to have conversations about where you stand in the NCAA tournament. Right now, D1 Baseball projects ASU to be the number 3 seed in the Atlanta Regional, which is not the greatest draw in the world. You'd be facing the number 1 seed in Georgia Tech, which is almost a 40-win team. They won the ACC regular season. You have Tennessee on that bracket as well, which is a 40-win team. And then I believe the last team that you have is Columbia in that bracket. So ASU baseball would definitely have an uphill battle to get out of that regional. But if you lose this game, then we're talking about your circumstances getting even worse. Now, if you win...
Well, and I think that's the flip side of this, to stay away from the super negativity, because we already kind of went into that. Glenn talking about, we gave away so many games, this could be a 40-win team. They have the talent, right? And Willie made some rough decisions with pitchers, especially down the stretch, but they have the ability to play above where they are at record-wise, which means that if they get hot and if Willie makes the right decisions in the postseason, they can go on a little run here.
Yeah.
So both sides of the coin can be true. It's just which side is it going to land on?
Which one do you think?
Probably the bad one.
You're thinking bad,
not to get too negative.
Bad day for Willie?
Yeah.
So you're, let's say...
Silly Willie.
Dear Lord. Okay.
I think they beat BYU after that. I can't tell with this team.
It'd be a bad loss to Arizona. You can't. Like, I know Arizona is technically the higher ranked team, but if you make it to that game, you can't lose. Not with everything that's on.
You don't want to, yeah.
Well, of course I don't want to, Rubus. No. Get your hand away from me, man. Look, I said earlier that it was important to keep in mind that the current Big 12 baseball tournament is going to be in Texas. Next year, though, per the Big 12, it is going to be here in the Valley at Surprise Stadium. Really, really excited for the Valley to host a Big 12 event like the Big 12 baseball tournament next year. Should be a lot of fun, but I feel like that almost puts more of a emphasis on how important it is for Willie to do something in this tournament, right? Because if you don't and you come back, the Big 12 tournament's here next year.
Yeah.
You can't be a 12 seed. You can't be a 13 seed. No. You can't be an 8 seed. You need to be a team that's good enough to get a bye, right? That's what you need to be. So if they do fumble somehow the Big 12 tournament down the stretch, if you're not able to beat BYU, if you get bounced early in your NCAA tournament hopeful appearance, then maybe there will be a change. I'm not saying either way that there should be a change or he should stay at this point. I haven't watched enough ASU baseball to truly make a decision on that. But based on this and based on what's coming to the Valley, like, you need to pick it up. You need to be a better, consistent program. This program
should be near the top of the Big 12 every year with the prestige that it has garnered, the pros that it has put up at the next level. They should have there should be no reason why they're not at least in contention for that every year. Besides the ASU part of it all, show up to this Big 12 tournament, because my Lord, I want them to do more Big 12 events. I want to do more Big 12 events in Arizona.
Well, let's talk about what this really means. They're posturing so they can move something to Vegas.
Please, Lord, please move the
media day.
Back to Vegas.
We're gonna do this.
Frisco. It was so fun. No, it was so fun,
dude. I'm ready to get down in Frisco.
The Big 12 basketball
with my buddy and my pals.
Okay, I want everybody watching right now.
Where are you going with this?
I want everybody watching right now. He says he's getting down in Frisco, which means
he's not.
When we're there. After the ASU Media Day, because
after you're a little bit tired.
Yeah, after you're tired.
To put the work in.
You're going to get down.
Sure.
You're staying
You're
out.
acting like I didn't when we were in Texas.
I'm not saying you didn't. I'm just saying that you were tucked in bed.
You kind of are.
The way that you're saying that is acting like I wasn't doing that.
You were tucked in bed before Captain Redbeard.
I got back at 2 a.m. when we had to leave for our flight at 6 a.m.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
I woke up drunk, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Me too.
Well, that's where I want you. Did. That's where I want you to be.
We all did.
We're getting down in Frisco. You said it. He said that. Everybody said that. Everybody heard that? He's getting down in Frisco.
Yeah. I'll get down in Frisco.
Okay.
There's really nothing else to do.
Except get down?
Except for get down.
Are you getting down? Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. It's the deli man. Yeah.
Order up.
What'd you make?
Let's get out of here.
Oh my goodness, guys. Well, per the Deli Man's request, that's going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils Show. Hit that like button and the subscribe button on your way out if you haven't already. And if you're listening on audio, we appreciate you. Also, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. And if you did enjoy today's content, give the show a follow on social at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You could follow Professor Oates here at Erik Ruby. That's Erik with a K. And you could follow the Deli Man at Shane Dief.
Missing my residency in Vegas as always.
And we will see you guys on Tuesday. But in the meantime, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.